Chiefs Kingdom, it's Thursday, and there's not a lot going on in the NFL. It's the dog days of the offseason, but we have an extra Chiefs podcast for that ass. Let's go.
Chiefs Kingdom. It's time for All Chiefed Up with your hosts, Steve and Mike Williams. From the Bluegrass to the Red Sea, this is the Kingdoms Podcast.
What is happening, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to All Chiefed Up. Mike, looks like we got some news yesterday over from our rivals in Loserville. The freaking Faders. Looks like Davante Adams is already disgruntled with this crap hole team. Dov Cleveland actually put out an update yesterday. It said, Davante Adams on the Raiders front office. He says, we don't see eye to eye on what we think is best for us right now. I'm going to have to buy into this and try to be as optimistic as possible. It's not what I expected to happen, but it's something that's a reality now. Mike, was it not a big enough reality for this moron not to sign with the Raiders last year? I mean, how stupid of a decision do you have to make?
Dude, listen to me. Boo-hoo.
Cry about it. Go push down another cameraman, bub.
You ain't got to care what Davante Adams thinks about his life that he has chosen. He wanted out of Green Bay. He wanted to go back and play with Derek Carr. And then he goes to a franchise that don't even respect what Derek Carr done for him.
Right.
And they up and ship him out. And now he's going to sit here and cry. He's got Jimmy Garoppolo throwing him balls this year, Steve. I would be crying too, let's be honest.
Right, and he's already made it clear, too, that the only thing that he wants out of his career or whatever he does at the Raiders to just let everybody know that he didn't need Aaron Rodgers all that time. Like, dude, Davante, you sound like a freaking loser, bro. Like, you're in the Tyreek Hill category, right?
He obviously needed Aaron Rodgers because, I mean, he had a good year. He had a good year. But if you want to win, you need a quarterback that can carry you in the postseason.
Right.
That's what Aaron Rodgers could do for you. Derek Carr probably could not do that. Jimmy Garoppolo, there's a chance. But with Garoppolo, you don't even have a chance of making the playoffs. So
no, absolutely not. Man, it's these receivers. It's like their ego gets the best of them. Like they want to go prove to everybody that they don't need a quarterback. Well, guess what you do? You're a freaking receiver. You catch the pass that your quarterback throws to you. Like Tyreek Hill, he wanted to go be the man. Go be the man in Miami, get all the attention. He didn't like being, playing second fiddle to Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. Look what it did for him. He padded his stats, but guess what? You ain't getting nothing out of it. You're watching Kansas City win a championship. Same way with Davante Adams. Had to get away from Aaron Rodgers. It wasn't just Aaron Rodgers is the reason why I was good. Well, that's cool. You still had good stats last year, but now you're a freaking loser, bro. So deal with it.
Receivers can't accept the fact that they're just not as important as they think they are.
They're really not.
Their egos and their heads are this big, and the actual scope of reality is they're about this much of a threat on the football field. Because without an offensive line blocking for a quarterback, they can't get the ball. Without the quarterback being able to deliver the ball to them by having a clean pocket, they can't get the ball. Without a running game, taking all the DBs out of there and putting them in the box, you probably don't get the ball. So they're the last person on the pecking order here, and they act like they're God's gift to the football position. They're just the arrogant, they're divas. Little skinny guys.
The divas.
Like, we're all the big linemen. We're the big uglies. That's how we grew.
We're fat.
Yeah, and then you've got these little skinny guys. All the girls give them the attention. They just want to have all the attention in life.
Well, here's my thing, Mike. If nothing could bring them back down to earth, you would think it's the fact that a tight end is the best receiver in football. Like, you would think if they were getting their asses whipped by a tight end in their own category, that they would, humble themselves a little bit, but they just can't do it. And I think it's hilarious. Like, if you're going to make a decision like, hey, I'm going to go to the Raiders, you're going to deal with the consequences, and he's doing it now. And like I said, if it's that bad, Davante, go push down another cameraman and take your anger out on him.
Davante, boo-hoo, buddy. But guess what? We got more Raiders news, Steve. Ex-Chief Marcus Peters. Ex-Chief Marcus Peters is supposed to be in Las Vegas meeting with the Raiders about possibly signing a contract with them. Steve, does that scare you at all if you're Patrick Mahomes?
Not at all. I mean, Marcus Peters is a good player, don't get me wrong. I loved him when he was in Kansas City. Obviously,
a good player.
Well, I mean, he's still the same, right? He's still a ball hawk. He's that guy. His attitude screwed him, though, right? Trying to act like, all hard and being all flamboyant and ridiculous all the time. That kind of got the best of him, got him shipped out of KC. He didn't do bad in Baltimore, but he's not what he was his first couple of years in the league. But yeah, man, if you want to join that circus over there in Las Vegas, then be my guest. Go ahead and sign that dotted line, just like Davante Adams, bud.
Have we learned something here? It's these guys with the big mouths. Their career just keeps going downhill. Like you had it back in the day. You had Dion. You had players like that like to talk. They backed it up. Peters would back it up a little bit, but he just kept running his mouth. He's a problem. They ship him out. They're always the mouths, the writing checks that the asses can't cash. That's what's happening with these guys.
Right.
And so his career deteriorates. He's going to end up over there in Las Vegas with all the other freak shows and the clown shows and everything they have going in Vegas. That's probably what's going to happen. But you know what? If I'm Patrick Mahomes, I'm sitting here and I'm like, my God, I'm going to eat so well for the next year or two as long as he's there because
you can burn him. Yeah, burn him so easy.
But you could burn this guy.
Yep. Absolutely. And it's coming. It's coming to a town near you, Raiders fans. So, yeah, man, enough about the Raiders, but it's fun to pick on them because they just suck so bad and they're just a complete catastrophe over there. It's fun. So I was reading a story, Mike, about Tony Gonzalez. It says he weighs in on Kelce potentially breaking 3 of his Chiefs records. It's an exclusive by Pop Culture. I'll just read you off just a little bit of what I have here. Tony Gonzalez is the most prolific pass catcher in Kansas City Chiefs history, as he's the team's all-time leader in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. However, when the 2023 season comes to an end, Travis Kelce will likely pass a legendary tight end in all 3 categories. Earlier this year, PopCulture.com spoke exclusively to Gonzalez about Kelce being on pace to be what he was for the Chiefs for so many years. And here's what Tony Gonzalez had to say about it. He just said it's going to happen. It's not when or it's not if, it's just when. They're rolling right now. Like I said, the connection between him and Patrick and then Andy, the genius play caller that he is, these guys really, it's almost you can't be stopped. I look at it sometimes, I'm like, why is there not 2 or 3 people on Travis? So yeah, do you think it's kind of cool that Travis Kelce this season will break all of Tony Gonzalez's records already?
I mean, he's played a long time. How long has Kelce been in the league? Like, it's been 8 or 9 years, right? I think it's amazing what he's done. It's been amazing. He did lose a year to an injury. His rookie year, I believe. He did. It's just been amazing. But if you got a quarterback...
Kelce was drafted in like 2013, I think. So he's looking at, 10 years in the league?
Right. So, yeah. I mean, he's had some pretty good quarterbacks. He played with Alex Smith. Alex Smith wasn't the deep ball guy. He was the more check it down kind of guy. That helps with tight ends. Right. You got, he's Patrick Mahomes' security blanket. Boy, it's great to be a security blanket for the best quarterback to ever play. I think he breaks some records. He'll probably break. I don't know if he'll break all of them this year. It's possible.
He's going to break all 3.
Does Kelce really want to break records? Is that what he's about? Or is
no, he's got winning championships. But you see, it comes along with it. Like all these guys that want all the personal accolades and they just run their mouth and they put themselves in bad situations trying to achieve these things, they don't realize how counterproductive it is. Because if you just play to win and to be the best that you can be, it comes with the territory. I mean, just look at Travis Kelce.
You can't be like, look, I'm going to win a bunch of championships here and I'm not going to get any stats along the way. Well, that's kind of impossible. If you ain't putting up, you ain't going to win. So it all comes, like you said. If Tyreek Hill would have stayed in Kansas City, he'd have done so many good things as a wide receiver. And yeah, you can go inflate your numbers for a season. Right. Davante Adams did last year. I think he had the biggest numbers he ever had. But he was getting thrown the ball 4,000 times. And it's like, well, you can't win that way.
Right. Same with Hill. That's how Hill is. It was a volume thing. But either way, Tony Gonzalez, I think, played 12 seasons with the Chiefs. And Travis Kelce is going to be, I think, in his 11th, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, but we're really similar. Yeah, he did have one for injury. So we'll just say 10 seasons for Kelce. So the fact that he's going to pass up Tony Gonzalez, who is one of the greatest tight ends of all time, what he's done with the Chiefs in 12 years, in 10 years, it's pretty impressive, man. Because, I mean, Tony Gonzalez was no slouch by any means of the imagination.
Tony G, this may just be a Chiefs fan's bias, but I think Tony G may be the best tight end to ever play the game.
Except Travis Kelce.
He brought in the mentality that, hey, athleticism, height, ex-basketball player, he would box people out like he was trying to get a rebound. This dude had hands for days. He had hops. He's the one that brought in the dunk and the field goal, post. This guy, Travis Kelce's amazing. Tony G, I think.
He opened the doors.
The team, though.
Tony G opened the doors for players like Travis Kelce.
Right.
Am I correct?
They're just a little different because Kelce's kind of added a new thing. Kelce's almost basically a wide receiver. Tony Gonzalez did not have his quickness and his speed and his shake. Tony G, boy, I'd love to have these two at the same time. Would that not have been crazy?
Dude, could you imagine those two on the field at the same time? That's a cheat code. That's what that is, especially if Patrick Mahomes was the quarterback.
Right. Could you imagine when everybody's always like, hey, who would you want to bring back? If you had one chief player in history you could bring back and put on this team, nobody ever mentions Tony Gonzalez because we're like, well, we already got Travis Kelce. Well, you didn't think that we run tons of 2 tight end sets. And Kelce's basically Kelce's almost an ex-wide receiver, to be honest. Like, he's pretty fast.
Yeah, pretty much, man. So we released a video yesterday about Deneric Prince, one of our UDFAs, the running back from Tulsa. Mike, he's intriguing, man. I do like the guy, and I think after we, dove in and did our research on the guy and really looked at it, my view on him even got more favorable because I was kind of in the whole thing is like everybody's overhyping this guy. Here comes the UDFA that we're overhyping this year. Everybody needs to calm down a little bit. But I'm starting to get on that train with you just a little bit. I see a lot of good in this guy. So, yeah, it was fun. If you guys didn't get to watch that video, make sure to go check it out so you can learn more about him as well. There's some cool stuff in there. But, Mike, Deneric Prince, are you pumped? Do you think he's going to make this team or what?
Hey, I'm still 60-40 on him making it. I believe, we got Clyde here, and Clyde's not going anywhere. Everybody forgets about Clyde, and everybody's like, oh, we're going to cut Clyde. We're not cutting Clyde. There's no value in it. I'm pretty sure that whatever he's owed has been paid. So at this point, why would you pay? It's like going to the store and you're like, dude, eggs are really pricey. And you pay for a dozen for like $27 or whatever it is. And then you get home and like one of them's broken. It's like you just go ahead and just say, well, screw it. And you just start breaking the rest of them too because you didn't get all 12 eggs. It's the same. Like,
people got to realize Clyde's on this contract year, right? We did not take the 5th-year option. He's going to have to get signed by somebody after this season. Right. Probably not the Chiefs, but he's got to go somewhere. And Clyde wants the best possible situation because this is the time in his career. This is where they make their money, guys, is right after that rookie contract. It's the next contract that really sets them up for their entire career. So do you think Clyde's going to go out there and half-ass it? Because he's not. Clyde's going to play like it's the end of the world. He's going to put in a lot of effort. That's just what happens on contract years.
Almost guarantee you coming out of camp or going into camp, you're going to hear stories. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he was one of the first ones in, last ones to leave. He's putting in a lot of work. He's got his body looking good this year. He's healthy. He's eating right. He's studying. He's helping the young guys. That's what he's got to do. This guy's got to come in and prove that he can carry a franchise and that he's worth investing money in because he knows if it's not Kansas City, and it's probably not, he's got to go somewhere else. So he's going to have to come in and make all these guys talk about him. They've already said this before. Wasn't it just a few weeks ago? Clyde was the first one in today. He's looking so good this offseason.
Right.
Obviously. But getting back to Deneric Prince, size-speed combination is unmatched. This dude is it's like Kansas City and Brett Veach, the mad scientist that is Brett Veach. He said, screw everybody here. This is what I'm doing. I'm not even going to watch film. I'm going to open up my biology book and I'm going to figure out how to clone somebody. And he got a piece of Pacheco's hair. He ripped one little single hair and Pacheco said, what was that? And it was Brett Veach walking by and saying, and then he cloned him. And Deneric Prince is a monster, dude. We talked about the speed scores. I think it was 117 for Pacheco.
Yeah.
And I think this guy was 114, 110, 112. Somewhere in that range. He was like 4 points lower, so I think it'd probably be like 113. So 113 speed score. Highest in the entire combine this year. Amongst all rookies that are draftable, this kid goes undrafted, Steve. So why do you think he got undrafted? You'd asked me that yesterday. Why do you think he was undrafted?
I really don't know. And I think it's because of his production when I really looked at it. Like, he doesn't have, like, these massive numbers, and he wasn't, like, even his first year at Tulsa, he only started a few games. And things like that. I think it's the production thing. Because, I mean, if you look at the athlete, he's elite. He just is. And I think that's what Brett Veach and company do that a lot of other teams don't do. You've seen Miami kind of leaning in that direction, and they're the only other team that offered Deneric Prince. But I think what it is it's just like Isaiah Pacheco, right? I mean, like, we keep comparing him. Everybody keeps comparing him to Isaiah Pacheco, but even if it's not just the player comparison, it's just a situation comparison. Like, this kid is such a freak athlete. Like, his ceiling is unlimited. Like, he could be whatever. But a lot of teams, they see the production, they think there's limitations and everything. And then Brett Veach, on the other hand, he sees an elite, unique athlete.
Yes.
And what can we do with that? I don't know, but maybe we can mold him into something. And if it's just for UDFA dollars, then why are we not giving it a shot? Because this guy has a chance to go off.
Well, you mentioned production. I get it. If he's a big fish in a small pond, he should go in there and just dominate. But at the same time, at a running back position, you can only dominate as much as your offensive line will block for you. You can only dominate as much as your quarterback demands any kind of respect and they don't put 10 people in the box. You can only dominate as much as the plays are called for you. And then again, if you're the only guy that anybody has to worry about, just keying on Deneric Prince, they're just putting 11 guys in the box. You ain't going nowhere. So the fact that he put up as much as he did at Tulsa, being the main center of attention, I think this guy can produce. So the whole production number thing, to me, it's out of control. They knocked him for his size, 6'2", 217. Like, that's where the RAS score that everybody likes to talk about, they put those down in the red. Like, what's bad about 216?
No, they were yellow. They were yellow.
These are
other way
references.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have to have a certain size. But that's the only thing that come down on his RAS score was just slightly undersized, right? I mean, otherwise, his RAS score was something crazy like a 9.84 out of 10, which is unreal, ridiculous. There were only a couple other athletes in the draft that had, like, ridiculous scores like that. I think off the top of my head, I think that Bryce Ford Wheaton, I think was his name, the receiver from West Virginia. He was up there really high. That was somebody else I thought Brett Veach might take a shot on just for that reason alone, but we didn't see that happen. And then I think as far as, like, bigger guys go, Javon Dexter had a really high RAS score as well. I think he was in the 9s. But, of course, there's a different scale. But, yeah, man, I think it comes down to his athleticism.
Javon's actually so slow of getting off the line of scrimmage, though, that when he got picked by the Bears in the second round, he ain't even got off the couch yet. This dude, he's not even got off the couch to get the
I wouldn't talk too much trash, man, because I feel like he's going to be a good player. I really wanted to see him beside Chris Jones, to be honest. But
I like him.
Yeah, dude.
Slow getting off the snap.
Yeah, he's slow getting off. That first step's a little slow. But, you can work on that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, Deneric Prince, intriguing. That's the word I'm going to use. I'm not going to overhype him. I'm not going to put him in that Justin Ross category where everybody expects him to come in and make the team and be a Pro Bowler right off the bat, and he's just the greatest thing ever. I'm not putting him in that category. I don't want to put that kind of expectations on the kid's shoulders unnecessarily like everyone has done with Justin Ross. So I'm not going to do it with Deneric Prince, but I will say I'm hopeful, and I'll say that he's intriguing. I'll say that's the word that describes it the best.
Yeah, so if you haven't watched that video, highly recommend you do so. Deneric Prince is awesome. We got some fun facts in there. We've got tons of stuff. We've even got high school highlights in there. So go watch that one. But Steve, we got an article here by a guy named Adam Schoen. He is a contributing columnist for the NFL.com website, maybe NFL Network. I don't know what all he writes for. But he actually came out with a list today where he says he ranks the NFL divisions. So NFC East, NFC West, AFC, all of them, all 8. He ranks them based off of quarterback. So as strong as your quarterback is how high you're getting ranked. Should I read you who he's got number 1? Do you want to take a shot at who he says is the best in football? Number 1.
Hold on. So I think you're always going to have to lean to the AFC in this situation. Naturally, you would think. You're looking at the AFC West. You got Herbert, Wilson, Patrick Mahomes. Of course, Garoppolo kind of brings you down just a tad bit. But I think it's the AFC East that has Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Tua, and I'm missing one. But I don't know, man. AFC North also has Joe Burrow.
Disrespect Mac Jones.
Mac Jones is who it is. That's why he's totally forgettable. If anyone's forgettable in the league, it's Mac Jones.
Don't forget about Mac.
But then you got the AFC North, man. I know Kenny Pickett's not proved himself yet, but he's going to probably be a decent quarterback. But then you got Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. Who's the Browns got? Deshaun Watson. So see,
Whacker
110.
Oh,
whack.
hey, Deshaun. How's Deshaun actually? Let's think about Deshaun for a minute. This dude went from just having girls, do bad things to him. So many. And they're going to pay him the highest they ever paid anybody in their lives. Who's running the Browns organization up there?
There's a reason why they're the Browns. But let me, I'm going to go ahead. With that being said, let's quit talking about, massage and whack guy. But I think I'm going to say he said the AFC North.
He did.
Yep.
AFC North number 1. He says Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, and Kenny Pickett. I want to challenge that because in every division you've got a turd. We all know it. Mac Jones, Jimmy Garoppolo is probably the closest turd in our division.
Right.
Every one of them is going to have one. We get it. But the fact that he's got Deshaun Watson rated and Kenny Pickett, who also is just 1 year in. So you've got basically a second-year guy and Deshaun Watson who hasn't done anything since he had his panties out somewhere. So
here's the problem. Real quick, I don't mean to cut you off. But I think what the problem is with everybody is they're still holding Deshaun Watson, 5-6 years ago, Deshaun Watson. He's not the same anymore. He's been through all that. He's lost a lot of energy through all of that massaging.
Right. He's been milked.
He's been drained.
A few times. It's not happening. So, AFC North, Jackson, Burrow, Watson, Pickett. To be honest, they're not my number 1.
I wouldn't put them as my number 1 either. I can see the argument.
That's maybe 2 or 3.
I can see the
argument if you're deaf, blind, and dumb. Number 2 has to be the AFC West, right? You have to get Patrick.
No, he's gonna go east. He's gonna say Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen and Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
Turn the ball over.
Well, you're right. You can't say Tagovailoa, but you're right. Josh Allen, Tua, Mac Jones, and Aaron Rodgers. I guess the addition of Papa Rodgers has now sufficed the fact that Tua can't stay on the field and Mac Jones has a noodle arm and I could probably do what he does left-handed. So Josh Allen, the AFC
choke artist.
Just the dominant MVP for like 6 weeks out of the year, and then he chokes. He can beat Kansas City in the regular season though, so congrats, buddy. So AFC East number 2, Patrick Mahomes in the West is number 3.
That's ridiculous.
Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Garoppolo. Again,
can I just point something out?
Yeah, go ahead.
How many Super Bowls do these quarterbacks have between them? Because I guarantee you, I find it hard to believe that there's more
0 in the
3
North.
Then 3, because Patrick Mahomes has 2, Russell Wilson has 1, and then Justin Herbert. I know Chargers are going to Charger, but I mean that kid's good. Everyone knows he's good. And then Garoppolo's been to the Super Bowl at least.
Yeah, so his number 1 has 0 Super Bowls total. His number 2 has 1, and that's Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Papa Rodgers. He's so high on peyote right now, this dude don't even know he's in New York.
No, he's probably in another darkness retreat.
He still thinks that he's got the same green uniform on. Like, he's having flashbacks. It's like he's a Nom.
Like Randall Cobb over there.
He's played so long, he may have been in Nom, actually.
Right.
AFC West, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson sucks. I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all. Russell Wilson is ass. But he's better.
Once upon a time,
right?
He was not.
Right, but he's better than Deshaun Watson. He's better than Deshaun Watson. Jimmy Garoppolo, at this point in his career, is better than Deshaun Watson and Kenny Pickett. Better. I will say it. He's better. I would trust my team right now if I had to win 5 games and go to the playoffs, and you said you got Jimmy Garoppolo for 5 games or you got Kenny Pickett for 5 games, which one are you taking? I'm taking Garoppolo.
In the immediate, yes, Garoppolo. And now if it was a long-term thing, you're taking Pickett.
Okay. And then not to mention Justin Herbert, who is supposed to be the one to knock off Mahomes every year. He's got all the talent in the world. And then Patrick Mahomes, 3-ring Mahomes over here. This dude's up two rings short of an Olympic poster. And no respect.
He get 3.
No respect. Okay, he's got 2. He should have had 3. Still, the point is, listen to this one, though. As stupid as that's been, he don't even have the NFC East rated higher next, which is Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones, and Sam Howell. I would almost say that division right there could compete with who he had at number 2. But anyway, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. Sam Howell's unproven. Daniel Jones just got paid.
Jalen Hurts is Lamar Jackson, right? Like, they're more running backs than quarterbacks, but they can throw the ball when they need to, right?
Would you rather have Jalen Hurts on your team, or would you rather have Justin Fields this year?
Jalen Hurts.
Would you have Jalen Hurts or Jared Goff this year?
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts or Kirk Cousins this year?
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts or Jordan Love this year?
That's not a question. And he ever got them rated higher?
So he's got the NFC North with Fields, Goff, Love, and Cousins above Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts and Daniel Jones, who just had a career year, and Sam Howell.
So that's just laughable.
This guy is a complete idiot.
Yeah, for sure.
Who is he? Who is he?
There's a reason you don't know him. But yeah, so in the big picture, not even being biased, I still think you have to go with AFC West as number 1. You almost have to.
100%.
I mean, like we said, there's 3 Lombardis between the 4 of them. And Justin Herbert is one of the up-and-comers that everybody keeps talking about. So, I mean, I don't understand how...
AFC North got number 1. Out of the AFC North, who's the best quarterback? Who goes against Mahomes? It's Burrow.
Joe.
So if Mahomes is the number 1, and then Burrow's got to be the number 1. Leave it to Bengals fans. They'll tell you it's 1-3 against Burrow. They'll never let you live that one down. That's going to change.
What are they going to do? What are they going to do when we take another game or 2 away from them?
Right.
And they don't have that.
Now it'll turn into we were 1-3 against you. They're stupid. So look, but let's go to number 2. Number 2 in our division by far is Justin Herbert. So the number 2 in the AFC North is Lamar Jackson. Is anybody in their right mind going to start an NFL team and pick Lamar Jackson over Justin Herbert?
You would be surprised how many people would take Lamar in that situation.
People that don't understand football. That's who's doing it.
Man, it's the people that embrace the running back quarterback thing. Like, people think that's the next big thing. But, maybe they were right. Maybe that's what the league was kind of going to. But guess who came along and squashed that narrative altogether? Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, because Patrick Mahomes can run. Justin Herbert can get out of the pocket when he needs to. He's beat the Chiefs a few times on 4th and long.
If a quarterback's go-to is to run the ball, like with Jalen Hurts, I feel like that guy looks to run the ball before he even thinks about passing. That's just not a good trait in a quarterback.
No. Okay, so still, they're number 3. Who's the number 3 quarterback in that division? Right. Deshaun Watson or Kenny Pickett?
Deshaun Watson.
So Deshaun Watson or Russ? Honestly, I don't know who I'd rather have. They're about the same level of...
Yeah, they're both like kind of laughable now, but they both were good when they came in the league. But Russ was good enough when he came in the league to get a Lombardi, even if he wrote it on the back of, Marshawn Lynch's running game and a really good defense. Either way, he's got a Lombardi that Deshaun don't. So Deshaun's got a criminal record to show for his.
Right, that Russ don't. So,
right.
I mean, in the NFL, the criminal record might outweigh the Lombardi. But I think I'm going with Russ over Deshaun, and so that puts Garoppolo versus Pickett again, like I pointed out. And right now, Garoppolo's better than Pickett. I'm sorry, but if you told me Kenny Pickett by the time he was, Garoppolo's age, he will be Jimmy Garoppolo, I would think you had a pretty good career, and that's probably as best you're going to get.
I don't know. I think he'll do better than Garoppolo. I don't think he's going to go
win a Super Bowl.
Man, I wouldn't say 100% no. I mean, he's got Tomlin, and they got some pieces.
Garoppolo has took a team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And should have beat us. They should have beat us if not been for Wasp in the corner.
Right, but let's get this straight. Where's that not just a full-on defensive team? Like, that's like one of those teams like when Baltimore won the Super Bowl, or like even when Seattle won their Super Bowl, they really rode the backs of their defense. So, I mean, it's kind of like that.
But football is a team game. There's not you could have the greatest quarterback in the history of the world, which we did, Patrick Mahomes, And we got trounced when they couldn't block for him. We got trounced
Right.
when Tyreek Hill was letting balls hit him off the face mask and fall to the end zone.
Yeah, what a trash game by him.
That's what I'm trying to say. The best quarterback in the world can't win without a team. Football is a team game. So, yes, team has to be a factor here at some point. You just can't do it. But that's enough of this. This guy's an idiot. AFC West should have by far been number one.
Right. Well, looks like the Chiefs went ahead and signed most of their draft picks. There's still 2 remaining. So, Mike, there's some intriguing signings so far with the UDFAs. We talked about Deneric Prince. There's also Echo Boydo, Nico Remigio. Probably there's a few more that I'm missing right now. But they went and signed
Truman Jones.
Yeah.
That's the guy I'm intrigued about.
They went and signed 4 of their 6 or 5 of their 7? 5 of their 7 draft picks. Is that what it is? Off the top of my head, I can't remember. But either way, the only ones that they haven't wrapped up yet is Felix Anudike-Uzomah, their first-round pick, defensive end from Kansas State, and they have not got a deal done with wide receiver Rashee Rice, second-round pick. Normally those wide receivers, like we talked about earlier, they're divas. They're harder to deal with. They take a little longer. If you look at last year, Sky Moore was the last one that signed because it just takes longer to get those wide receiver deals done. So I'm expecting to see Felix Anudike-Uzomah sign sometime this week, probably before the week's over, and I wouldn't be surprised if Rashee Rice doesn't as well, but he'll definitely be the last.
Yeah. Rashee Rice, he's going to sign about the same, and he's going to sign about the exact same contract as you've seen Sky Moore sign last year. They were picked, identical picks, 54 and 55. I don't remember which was which, but either way, 54 and 55. The money's going to be the same. We've already said Rashee Rice, it's going to take a miracle for Rashee Rice to come in and play tons and tons and tons of snaps in the Andy Reid offense. He's going to have to garner the most amount of trust you've ever seen. Andy has said lots of good things about him, but he was so quick to be like, he's got to get that conditioning in. We run these guys to death, and he looks gassed. So he's already, I want to say he's even. He had a chance to get ahead of the curve. If he would have jumped in and he would have said, hey, I'm coming in, I'm working on this conditioning and I'm going to impress. But Andy found something to nitpick, and Andy's always going to find something to nitpick, and that's why we couldn't get Sky on the field last year as much. When it comes to Felix, he's probably going to get paid about the same amount as George, and I think George was somewhere around $9 to $11 million last year. That's probably what Felix is going to get. So it's not going to be these groundbreaking contracts. Right. It's not going to be any holdouts, nothing like that. But out of all these rookies, man, I'm excited to see Chamari. He got done. I'm excited to see what the role is for him, because in camp he was a lot of safety. Not a lot of DB, like playing the corner spot, this, that. But we know he can do that. And I think Chamari was brought in to shut down that tight end position.
Possibly.
I will say this, though. Justin Reed done a good job of that. He really did. Justin Reed blanked.
Have you seen where Justin Reed put out a tweet a couple days ago talking about how he's in his best form yet as an NFL player? Like, he's his most healthy. He's in the best shape. He feels the best. He's the most confident. And he's going to come out. I think he is too, man. So I think you're right there. I think Jamari was brought in, like we've talked about a million times, for the simple fact that he might be able to take over the same kind of role as L'Jarius Sneed. And we talked about this in our last podcast and set a lot of Chiefs Kingdom's butts on fire talking about us trading L'Jarius Sneed, because I don't care if that makes you sad or hurts your feelings. Show us here where all Chiefed Up hurt you on the doll. Show us. The deal is, it's a business. This is real life. He's in a contract year. The Chiefs don't pay corners. He's going to garner a pretty good paycheck because he's a good corner. He's put up a lot of good numbers. Somebody out there needs that. Somebody's going to pay him for that. We might not be able to. So if that's the case and Brett Veach feels that way, he might trade him. Go ahead and get some value out of him while we can. I think that's why Chamari Corner was drafted to the Chiefs. I think that's why they went up and got him. Said his name funny, but
Chamari Corner. He's a corner.
Right, he is Chamari Corner. But either way,
it's okay.
I think that's why he's here.
I like Chamari Corner. I think he can play. Chamari Corner. When he got picked, we were like, my God, why'd they trade up for this kid?
Seemed like a reach, didn't it?
I still think it might be a reach.
Right.
See what he does. I still think we could have probably set and got him. I just think.
But hey, according to those same fans that get mad about everything, you can't reach after the first round of the draft. That's stupid. Why would anyone call it a reach?
Yeah. We could have traded up in the second round and took B.J. Thompson. It would have been completely fun.
Yeah.
Keandre Coburn signed him for $4 million with a $795,000 cap hit this season. Is that the cap hit every year, or is that just the cap hit for this season?
I think it's this season's cap.
Okay. Dude, what a steal. you're going to have total value Keandre Coburn for 4 years. You get him for $1 million a year, and I really, honestly, firmly believe he's going to come in and take Derek Notty's job. I firmly believe.
Yeah, I do like the Keandre Coburn pick. I thought that was a good one. I think we got good value on him. I think he's going to play a role. So, like we've said time and time again, we think he might be, kind of the dark horse of this draft.
Mock draft season, when we had Bro Schmo on and he took Keandre Coburn in the 3rd round, and everybody was like, oh, I don't know about that. And then we ended up getting him in the, the 6th round. Everybody's like, yay. And we're like, I thought you couldn't reach.
Yeah. See how that works.
It's a good class. I will say this. I've changed my mind on the class a little bit. Now that it's set for a few weeks, we've kind of got away from it, because we were
drafted out.
Dude, we were eyebrows deep in the draft, and I was
burnt after the draft, dude.
But now that I see how these players are going to fit, and I see kind of what Brett Veach was doing, and again, he's not just playing chess, he's playing chess 3 years in the future. And so you had to look, why did he want to get Chamari Connor so bad? It had to be that L'Jarius Sneed thing. It had to be. Whether we want to cut him or not, L'Jarius Sneed's going to want some money, and we just don't have it.
Here's my thing. I know that we can't predict the future. I know that we don't know everything about this. But what I try to do when I'm trying to figure out what's going on in Brett Veach's head or what the Chiefs' moves are going to be, you have to learn from their past. That's the best way to go about it, is to go back and look and see what they've done previously. If you look last year, what did they do? They took Brian Cook in round 3, and everyone's like, oh, that's a bit of a reach on Brian Cook, but we like it. He's good. And guess what? They knew Juan Thornhill was gone. They knew Thornhill was out of here at that point. That's why they drafted Brian Cook. That's who they wanted to take his spot. And that's exactly what they did. And this is the same thing this year with Chamari Connor. They're going to try to get him in that role so they can dump off L'Jarius Sneed. I would almost bet all my money on it.
Right. Hey, check this out. I just see this pop up on my phone, actually. We'll go ahead and address this. Heavy.com, Michael Obermueller has come out and made an entire article about how CBS sports writer Cody Benjamin has now speculated that the Chiefs are the most logical landing spot for this trade target, Steve, and it's Chase Young. Who were the first guys to say that? And everybody crucified us over here and said that was stupid.
I'm telling you right now, if you could trade L'Jarius Sneed, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, any kind of combination to get Chase Young, and you don't do it, stupid move.
Right. But which one is it? Because everybody in the comment section is like, oh, that's wonderful. Why wasn't it wonderful when we said it 2 days ago? I'm telling you, these guys are so influenced by what all these people come out and say. Like,
depends on who says what.
Right, I get it. It's all about whatever, and people's going to take certain people. But people's got jobs and things by sometimes just pure luck goes into it. I've seen sports writers not have a clue what they're writing about. And I think...
Hey, let me tell you, there are people that you listen to and watch every day. Look at me. You watch and listen to people every day that don't have a freaking clue what's going on.
That's true.
The Chiefs or football or anything for that matter. But they know how to get you to click on things.
It's true. Not saying we know everything. But my point is that when you've watched the Chiefs for 38 years and you dissect every offseason, every draft, and I've been doing this we've been doing this since we were 17 years old. We weren't even out of high school yet, and we were so obsessed with. How many teenagers you know that are obsessed with the Chiefs? They don't. They got their own lives. They got girlfriends. They got this and that. Still, we were just obsessed. This is all we do. Everybody thinks that everything we say is dumb, but it's just because we're not saying what you're being told.
But you know what? They're really confused, a year later when they're like, man, y'all were right about that. It's like, yeah, we tried to tell you.
I can't believe you trade up with Detroit the second round and take Rashee Rice. He's probably not even going to be a top 3 round pick. Oh, really? Yeah. I can't believe you take Felix Anudike-Uzomah in the first round, dude. He's probably like at least the 60th best player in the draft.
B.J. Thompson. Why do you have the Chiefs drafting B.J. Thompson? He's going to be a UDFA. Yeah, it's the same thing every year, man.
When we took him in the 5th, it was fun. Yeah, I don't know. That's just the rage.
The
those things.
rage.
It's just one of those things, man. It gets so annoying just feeling like people don't listen because you're not in the club. You're just not in the club, Steve.
Mike, we're not in the cool club, and we never will be, and that's okay. But yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up for today, man. I think it was a good little fun talk. But we thought we'd give you an extra little bonus podcast here on YouTube exclusively. So
Bonus podcast.
definitely going to do that. If you guys are new to the channel, thanks for being here. Thanks for being with us this long. If you're at this point in the video, you're the real MVP. Go ahead and click that sub button, click that like button. Make sure to get in our comments, let us know what you guys think. And thanks for subscribing and hitting that bell.
There goes a sight from my soul.